everyone, and welcome to Meow Mix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And we are here to talk about the Week 1 loss that the Carolina Panthers just suffered to the Atlanta Falcons, 24-10. A game that started off pretty good for the Panthers, honestly. I was pretty optimistic around halftime, coming out of halftime, but it just got away with them, got away from them there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I agree. It's heartbreaking to start off as well as they did. It's just turnovers cost them the game. I mean, point blank, that's Jesse Bates. I'll put it on Jesse Bates had a great game for the Falcons as his debut and made us suffer for it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, just two big mistakes by Bryce Young, just throwing right over the middle, and the second one especially looked. I mean, he was there. Like the first one, he kind of snuck out. Still probably shouldn't have been thrown, but the second one, certainly not a great throw. But I mean, the fumbles, the Panthers just beat themselves. Honestly, the Falcons took advantage, but not a great debut, but not uncommon for a rookie quarterback to have this kind of debut, especially a number one pick. They showed it on the broadcast. No rookie quarterback has won his first game since 2002.
Yeah, I mean,
first number one pick, I should say. But yeah.
Yeah, the beginning of the game, the first half looked really good. We went down, fourth down, and then all of a sudden, they just went for it on 4th and 1, which I don't agree with the play call. I don't agree with actually going for it there, but they did, and then it just hurt them. And then from there, it just kind of same thing, like. Lost opportunities. I mean, that's what this game is.
Yeah, I mean, that call that you're talking about where they went for it on 4th down, I think in many situations it's the right thing to do. But when you take everything into consideration, rookie quarterback on the road, first quarter, you got the ball second, right? You deferred. Mm-hmm. Just take the points, right?
Yeah.
Just take the points at that point, and you take and call it a W. Like get
your
Bryce
first drive, you take the 3 points.
Yeah.
I mean,
and again, a year from now, 2 years from now, when things have been more established and you have better weapons, and sure, maybe that's a different decision. But I feel like today that, we left some points on the board there. Not that it would have probably changed the outcome of this game, but. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen a lot of people just really, really upset about this game, and I can't get there. Like, I just can't get that upset because it's what I expected. I hope the Panthers would win, and I didn't expect Bryce to look this bad. And again, I don't think he looked bad overall. He had a couple of bad throws, but think about it. He's got a terrible wide receiver core that was missing its best wide receiver, right?
I wouldn't say I'm not disappointed because this game was very disappointing. As someone who was hoping for more from Bryce Young, the first
game. Jim.
I get that it's the first game, but that first interception, I wrote off. I thought Bates made a great play on the ball. I thought Bryce made the correct read, in my opinion. I was like, okay, I see what he saw. He made the right read. He threw the ball.
A good play.
Great play. Second one, I completely disagree. And then it felt like it just never clicked with him. And that's what I was hoping to see after that. Now, he did not Sam Darnold it where he completely crumbled and everything else. Yes, his stats was not great, but it felt like he just could not get into a rhythm. I don't know why that was, whether it's the receivers not getting open. I felt like the O-line, especially at the beginning, gave him plenty of time.
The O-line, I don't think was a problem today. They had a drive towards the end of the game where they had a penalty and then gave up a sack and didn't look great there. But overall, I thought the offensive line played really well. Bryce looked a lot like Trevor Lawrence looked in his rookie season. Just kind of not making great decisions, throwing interceptions. It just doesn't worry me. Honestly, I saw enough good things that Bryce did to make me think that these bad things, he's going to get over them. It's his first game. It's his first game. He's going to make mistakes all season. You guys are going to have to understand that. He's going to make mistakes all season long. It's going to happen.
I'm not dogging him.
No, but it sounds like your expectations may have been unrealistic. To say that you're disappointed because he made mistakes in his first game.
I am disappointed in him making the same mistake in the same game, nearly back to back. That is my disappointment. I am not down on Bryce Young, where I don't think he can learn from his mistakes. I also agree that DJ Shark's not being here hurt this team. And I mean, it's my bigger faux pas was, honestly, Miles Sanders didn't do what I was hoping. I mean, he did not run well at all.
To be fair to Bryce Young, those interceptions were pretty far apart, like 4 or 5 series apart. But
it felt like they were closer, but maybe that's just
one of them happened the second series for the Panthers. The other one was the second series after halftime. So it took some time. He had a touchdown throw between them. But I will agree. Miles Sanders kind of looked disappointing. He didn't have a terrible day. 18 carries, 72 yards. Also had 4 catches for 26 yards, so almost 100 total yards. But he didn't have a lot of success, only 4 yards per carry, and a lot of times it felt like he was getting stopped at the line of scrimmage. Juba honestly looked like the best running back on the team. And
he had that fumble inside Atlanta territory. I mean, look, two of these turnovers were in their territory, turn the ball over to literally give Atlanta a touchdown. 17 points off turnovers.
17 points off turnovers.
And they were right there knocking on the door as soon as you turned it over. So, I mean, you can't.
Yeah. Which that's why I'm just not too worked up about it, because later on this season when we play the Falcons, I don't think that you get 17 points off of turnovers, right? And I think this is a game that the Panthers win. But with everything going on, taking everything into consideration, is it disappointing they lost? Of course. Would I wanted them to win? Of course. Would I wanted Bryce to throw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions? Of course. I just don't think that was going to happen with everything going on here. But that being said, 24-10, it's not good enough, right?
No, not at all. I mean, obviously you lost the game here. I mean,
yeah.
I think turnovers lost this game, got it out of hand. I think without those 3 turnovers, this game is a Panthers win. It's sad to say, and I think that's why I'm frustrated. And I'm not knocking Bryce Young's debut. I think he made a lot of smart decisions. It's just his 2 dumb decisions, same style, is frustrating.
Yeah, 2 interceptions, the same place, part of the field, the same guy intercepted it. Sure. I mean, I get it. I don't think he'll make those plays next week. I think he's good enough to learn from those mistakes, and I'm glad that he's making mistakes like that early, honestly. I get him out of the way, just like every other rookie quarterback does. They all make these mistakes, all of them. Peyton Manning, 28 interceptions his first season. I don't think Bryce is going to throw 28 interceptions his first season, but if he does, he's in good company, right?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're in Peyton Manning's company, it's a good season. It's a decent conversation.
Right. I mean, this. I don't think this. I think a lot of things went into this loss. Probably number one being Bryce just doesn't have anybody to throw to. At least he didn't today.
They weren't getting open. The O-line, I felt like, gave him enough time, especially in that first half. But I agree.
There were some throws that Bryce missed, like particular the one that would have been a 99-yard touchdown pass had he hit Mingo.
Yeah,
who was open, right? Just a bad throw by Bryce. But again, at that point, you're in your own end zone. You're just kind of trying to get rid of the ball.
And then there's that Terrace Marshall Jr. where he kind of stuttered after he beat his man. Like, what are you doing? That you had. That's another 50-yard pass play or 30 yards down the field if he gets tracked down. Yeah. I mean,
just a lot of mistakes all over the place in this one.
So I just don't knock Bryce Young in the sense of, oh no, the world is falling, he's a bad quarterback. I feel
Yeah.
like these are correctable mistakes. That being said, I was disappointed. Maybe I was riding the hype, but it felt a little disappointing in my eyes. And I felt the defense played well enough to win this game. The only negative they got in my eyes was they didn't stop the run and they didn't cause turnovers.
Yeah, it feels like had the Falcons really wanted to run the ball in this game, like, 40 times, they'd have run for 300 yards. Like they could run anytime they wanted. The Panthers made a couple of nice plays, but it felt like Algier could just gash us whenever he wanted.
That first series, second series, it felt good. It felt like they had it, and then you're 100% correct that they hand off 7 yards, hand off 10 yards. It was like, all right. And that was my biggest fear with going to a 3-4. The 3-4 is not a great run defense. It's just not.
Especially when you look at a team that was as bad against the run as we were last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Last several years. Yeah. Bijan Robinson is going to be really hard to play against for the next few years. Like he's so fast. He's shifty.
I was so hoping he would be a bust, but yeah, he looks good.
Yeah,
I don't want to be glowing about a Falcons player, but yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, we talked about in our preview that the Falcons run game was, if we could stop the run game, we'd probably win this game, and we couldn't. They just, they were able to continue drives when it mattered, and they were able to put, when they had short fields, they were able to put the ball, in the end zone or through the uprights, and that's the difference of the game.
Yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and maneuver over to stats here. I mean, what did they have here? They had 25 rushes for 130 yards, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, it was 4.9 average for Algier, 5.6 for Bijan Robinson. I mean, that's the game. Like, that's how they won this game. Panthers had more rushing yards than them, but they were able to do it on key downs, and the Panthers weren't.
Yeah, I feel like the Panthers ran the ball well in this game.
Yeah.
32 carries, 154 yards, almost 5 yards a carry as a team. But the mistakes, the fumble by Sanders and the interceptions by Bryce just killed it.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the tale of the game is the turnovers.
And this team is not good enough to overcome a 3 turnover deficit. Like, it's just not. I mean, I love this team. I think it has a lot of potential, but it just doesn't have that ability to overcome that.
Well, this is it. Like, this is what we're going to see this season is if the Panthers get down a couple of touchdowns, it's going to be very hard for them to come back. They just don't have the offensive firepower to do it. The way the Panthers are going to win this season is limit the turnovers, run the ball, play good defense.
Yeah.
And they did 2 of those things today, but they couldn't do all 3.
And I think Bryce Young will step up in that leadership, that young gun type of, I'm using his nickname, even though he hasn't deserved it yet, but that young gun type of quarterback in the fourth quarter that he can string along some good plays to make a touchdown in the third and fourth quarter. It's just he didn't have that today. He just could not get it done. He's still a rookie. Hopefully he can pull it together and do it another day.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that you should not be disappointed. I am saying that the people who are calling Bryce Young a bust already.
Oh, no
and
bust.
The people that are like, oh well, this team, I thought they were going to go 14-3 this year and compete for the Super Bowl. Like, come on, guys. Like, that was never going to happen. As soon as the Panthers traded DJ Moore for the number 1 pick, you knew what this year was going to be. It's a building year. We don't have the pieces to compete for a Super Bowl this year. Like, it was never going to happen. So temper your expectations for this year. Understand that this is a building year. The Panthers may catch fire. They could win the division, or they could not. And reload next year, and year 2 of Bryce Young is going to be better than year 1.
Yeah, I think you're saying these things, but at the same time, there's that hope there's that hope in my heart that this division is open for the open season, that you can get Bryce being a Tom Brady-esque second-year player. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady long term, but the second year of Tom Brady, where he steps in for Drew Bledsoe, he's a very conservative quarterback who makes the smart plays, defense in the running game, and they go to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying Super Bowl, but win this division. And
You're
think
saying
that's
for this year.
For this year.
Okay. I mean, that's the blueprint. Right?
Yeah,
that's what they should try to do. Is Bryce should be a game manager.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if he has the wide receiver core to do it. Honestly,
I don't think.
I don't think they're good, Jerry. I think you might be a little overrating the wide.
I don't
receivers
think
here.
that the Tom Brady had good receivers either that year. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
Deion
saying.
Branch, who's a great receiver.
Was he there that year? Well, I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure he
2003.
was. Yeah. I think it was 2000. No, 2003 was the year they played us in the Super Bowl. I think it was 2001, maybe even before that. Either way, I don't know. The receivers in the year 2000 are different from the receivers in the year 2023. It's a different game than it was back then. Either way, expecting Bryce Young to be year 2 Tom Brady, I don't know if that's.
I'm just saying,
the way
like,
to
that's
go.
the hope. Like, I get what you're saying. I get that. But I don't think that the fans should be completely out on this team or roster that, hey, all right, rookie quarterback, all right, 4 wins. This team won 7 wins last year.
This team did not. This is a very different team. This team has, like, half the starters are different on this team. The coaching staff, completely different. Quarterback, completely different. Number 1 receivers, gone. Some of those wins were with Christian McCaffrey, gone. Like, this is a different team. This is a rebuilding team. This is a rebuilding year. Whether they want to say it publicly or not, you just have to look at the evidence. We don't have a receiver making more than, what Thielen's making the most money, and he's going to be, at best, the second best receiver on this team.
Hopefully.
Yeah, right. Miles Sanders, good running back. I think he's going to have a good season, but he's not a game breaker. He's not a guy that's going to carry you on his back to, 10 wins.
I don't know. Not after what I saw today from him.
Yeah.
But.
Maybe I'm the one that's down on this team now.
Yeah, you are down.
I think I am. I think I'm kind of reevaluating what I expect from this team, honestly, this year.
Okay.
And I know it's just one game, but I'm not reevaluating it in a way that I think they should just start Andy Dalton for the rest of the year. Like, I think you give Bryce Young an opportunity to go out and fail, so he doesn't fail in the future.
I think you game plan around Bryce Young as a sense of, like I said, run the ball better. Yeah, that easy, and Bryce Young has to limit his mistakes. This game was the Panthers for the taking, except for the turnovers. I'm going to say that right now. It is what it is. Like, 3 turnovers caused 17 points. That one of those turnovers was in field goal territory. Another 4th and 1 was in their territory. Flip those around, you have a win. So I don't think you're so, oh yeah, he did bad, but I don't think it was that bad. Look at this. We had 63 offensive snaps compared to their, what was it? 43?
Mm-hmm.
They just need to get going. The defense looked good. They got a little gas, which unfortunately seems to be a thing that has happened. They also need to work on that run defense. It's something that 3-4 defense struggle with, and I agree. And turnovers. If you could get 1 or 2 turnovers on Desmond Riddler.
The Riddler.
Which, they did have 2 fumbles, or 1 fumble. right away, if they recover that, you never know how the momentum goes. But with that said, let's look at the stats, because I did say that, and then we went off on your negativity.
Not negativity, honestly. It's just, what are your expectations for this year? If your expectations for this year are to win the division, I think you might be disappointed. If your expectations this year are for Bryce Young, because your expectations for this year can be whatever they want to be. You know, you're not wrong to have expectations. For me, I think my expectations this year are that Bryce Young grows as a player, because this is our franchise quarterback. He's the most important player on the team. It's the biggest deal that we've done maybe in the history of the franchise, to move all the way up to number 1 and get this guy. They traded DJ Moore away. They knew that they weren't going to have a dynamic offense this year. This is the year for Bryce Young to grow. And there's going to be growing pains. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
My expectations is a division title. Now,
okay, I think that's unrealistic.
I think that's a very realistic.
Why?
Why? Because look at this division.
What have they done to tell you that they're going to win a division?
They have a top tier looking defense on paper. The offense looks like a ball control offense. It's not going to be splashy. It's not going to be pretty, but they can win games this way. They can. And yes, I want them to win the division. If they don't, I am not going to be all out on this team or Bryce Young. If Bryce Young especially starts to really grow, I'll be very excited. It's just, why not want more than just, I want Bryce Young to look okay, like he grows.
That's not what I said. You can want what you want. And I want them to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I expect that they will not. Right?
Well, yeah.
What I really want is for the Panthers to build a winner. And that may not start this year in terms of the actual winning. But the building does start this year.
And I think the building of a winner can start this year while still winning decently. I don't think 12 games, 11 games is realistic. I don't. But I do think hard-fought games towards the end of the season, especially winning games with Bryce Young being a steady, realistic quarterback, rookie quarterback, is viable. Now, that being said, Miles Sanders needs to step out. I think a receiver needs to step up. I think Terrace Marshall looked the best out of the receivers. I think he had, that step which he needs to learn on, not to deviate from his route. I think Jonathan Mingo also has shown flashes. And I think Thielen is what I thought Thielen would be, where he's just a conservative, very easily targetable guy.
Possession receiver, essentially. Yeah. Before we get to the stats, real quick, here's our next 5 games. The Saints, the Seahawks in Seattle, Vikings here, Lions in Detroit, Miami in Miami. How many wins do you see the Panthers have after their first 6 games?
I mean, why are you putting me on the spot?
I'm just asking, because that's not an easy schedule.
I agree. This is a very tough start, but then it gets a little easier. You're going to have the rookie quarterback that has, hopefully has matured a little bit and gotten a little bit better. I mean,
yeah. And you've got your next 3 games after that are Texans, Colts, Bears. All 3 winnable games, in my opinion, depending on how the Panthers are looking. So I just think it's reasonable to say that the Panthers may start off looking pretty ugly, and this is kind of expected. That's all. All right. Well, Bryce Young was 20 of 38, 146 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 3.8 yards per pass. Not good.
No.
Not good. Got sacked 2 times. We mentioned it, though. The offensive line overall, I thought looked pretty good. They got gassed at the end of the game, but they look pretty good.
I 100% agree. I hated the commentator constantly saying, they already have 3 sacks of Bryce Young. No, they didn't. They didn't have
in the first half. They had no sacks.
Yeah, I was like, dude, he's been clean. He's been completely clean. But the second half, they got
They They had 3 tackles for loss, which I guess that he was just getting confused, but I don't know. Miles Sanders, 18 carries, 72 yards, an average of 4 yards a carry. Chuba, 9 for 60, an average of 6.7 yards per carry. And honestly, he looked like the better back today.
Yeah, he looked like he was reading the holes better and hitting them with more fervor than Miles Sanders. Maybe Miles Sanders needed to play in the preseason.
Yeah, that's a good point. This was Miles Sanders' first game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
not saying that is definitely the reason. I'm just saying that
I could easily see that him getting better as the year goes on, though, just because of that. And he's coming off a bit of an injury, so that's a good point. I honestly didn't even think about that, but that's a good point. Hayden Hurst led the team in targets and receptions, 5 catches for 41 yards, and that touchdown that he threw into the stands. Poor Bryce didn't get his first touchdown pass. Hopefully somebody got that for him.
And that was a good play design. And that was one thing I did notice, that their play designs were a lot better than last year. I mean, I was shocked I did not see a Laviska Shenault screen pass this game.
No, I think technically it was a screen pass and he got a first down on it, but there weren't a lot.
No.
It certainly weren't 5 a game like we saw last year. But Hayden Hurst, when's the last time you could say a tight end led the team in targets for the Panthers? It's been since Greg Olsen, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Sanders was the next leading receiver, 4 for 26. Marshall, 2 for 23 on 6 targets.
Do I need to refresh my game here? Because I don't have those numbers. And it's showing final.
I'm looking at ESPN.com.
I was too. Okay, yeah, I needed to refresh. I guess I pulled it up a little early. Prepping.
Mingo, 2 for 17. Laviska, 2 for 16. Thielen, 2 for 12. Chuba, 2 for 9. Giovanni Ricci, 1 for 2. So Bryce spread the ball around. And a lot of these targets, for Terrace and Mingo specifically, were kind of throwaways from Bryce. Yeah. I thought he threw the ball away too much. Take a chance. Throw a guy open. These are things he's going to learn. Derek Brown led the team in tackles. Derek Brown had an amazing game. 9 tackles.
Brown, great job. I overall the defense had a really good game, even though they had 24 points put up on them.
Yeah, Derek Brown and Brian Burns. Now Burns, he slowed down a bit in the second half. It looked like, but he started off just incredible. Had a sack and a half within the first quarter, I think. A tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Derek Brown also had 2 tackles for loss and a sack. Luvu had a sack. Shai Tuttle, half a sack. So the Panthers ended up with 4 sacks on defense. No interceptions. J.C. Horn, by the way, kind of buried the lead there a little bit. He went out with an injury early in the game.
Shocker.
They said hamstring. We'll see. But that's unfortunate.
I mean, here's the thing. This is like his 5th injury in 3 years. I'm sorry. I know people are like, oh, they're all fluke injuries. Well, if fluke injury after fluke injury hits you, you're injury prone, man. Like,
yeah,
we could have had Pat Surtain. We passed on. We jumped up. We got a guy who I personally was shocked we took. But he looked good. He's looked good when healthy. But he's got talent. He was injured in college, and he's injured now constantly.
Yeah, he's a very talented guy. Mm-hmm. It was a bad pick. It was the wrong pick.
It was the wrong pick.
I don't see anyone can say that it wasn't. So C.J. Henderson comes in. He gets a pass interference penalty later in the game. That one I thought could have gone either way. Kyle Pitts, I think was just as guilty on that one, but it did not go the Panthers' way because it's a home game in Atlanta. Eddie P 1 for 1, looked fine. Hecker looked good, had a 69-yard punt. Defense and special teams thought looked fine.
Yeah,
it was just the offense that kind of gave this one away.
Yeah, turnovers killed this game. I'm gonna repeat that over and over again. I mean, the defense allowed only 220 yards altogether. I mean, what do you want from your defense?
Well, yeah, I mean, Ritter's stat line looks a lot better than I think he was. 15 of 18, 115 yards and a touchdown. There was a point where I don't think he had positive yardage until like midway through the second quarter.
Yeah.
But he was efficient. He was fine. He played the way that I would hope that Bryce Young would have played, honestly. Just kind of take what is given to you. Algier, 15 of 7 for 75, 2 touchdowns. Bijan, 10 for 56, no touchdowns. They have good running backs. I mean, they're going to be able to run the ball this year. Kyle Pitts led them in receiving, 2 for 44. Mac Hollins, 3 for 31. Bijan, 6 for 27 and 1 touchdown. And Algier had 3 for 19. They ended up with 2 sacks. Troy Anderson and Grady Jarrett combined for 1, and then Lorenzo Carter had the other. 4 tackles for loss for those guys. They did have the interceptions by Jesse Bates, and Lorenzo Carter also recovered the fumble. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, the Panthers held the ball most of the game. I think we had almost 35 minutes of possession time to 25 for the Falcons. Just unfortunately, we gave them the ball in scoring position.
Yeah. Couldn't hang on to the ball correctly. It just so sad. I mean, it is what it is, but
well, it always sucks to lose a game that you feel like you should have won, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. It was a game that the Panthers should have won, could have won, but didn't. And it's hats off to Jesse Bates. I think if anybody, he deserves this game win because he really did it, man. Two interceptions and a fumble that literally flipped over our 17 points.
Yeah. The Panthers only had 3.9 yards per play. So Panthers had 72 total plays, but didn't really produce on those plays. And again, there's just not a lot of weapons on this team. Specifically in the wide receiver core, like the tight end's going to be fine. He's going to be 600-700 yards receiving probably. I think Sanders can be good. He can be a 1,000-yard rusher, but I don't know that you have a receiver that's going to be more than maybe 700 yards. Hurst could easily be the leading receiver on this team. So it's going to be they're going to have to get a lot more creative offensively, I think, to move the ball moving forward.
And I still think there's a guy who could step up in this receiving core. I think there's a few guys here that are 2 and 3s that could step up to be a 1 in this offense. I don't think there's a legitimate elite 1. I don't want to say that, but I do think there's a guy who could become a 1, if that makes sense. Robbie Anderson had 1,000 yards here.
But again, completely different circumstances.
I know, but I'm just saying, like...
You love Robbie Anderson.
I hate Robbie Anderson. What are you talking about? I don't
know
why.
Always talking about Robbie Anderson.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
I know what you're saying. I mean, Mingo, who knows? But he's a rookie. To put that expectation on him,
I
think
wouldn't
is
put
unrealistic.
that on him.
Terrace Marshall has not shown it at all. He's got skills. We've seen flashes, but he hasn't shown anything consistent. Thielen's getting up there in age. Shark is the guy, but can he stay healthy? So we'll see. I mean, and there could be, moves to be made. It really just depends on what the Panthers, what they want out of this season.
Yeah.
Honestly. Do they want to try and add a guy and go for it? Or again, do they want to treat this as what it is, a rebuilding season? I don't know.
Man, you're negative. I feel like you're so down after this game.
I'm not, but I don't feel negative, right? I just feel like I'm
you're
level
negative.
setting.
Does that count?
I feel like I'm level setting my expectations.
You're adjusting your expectations to be more down than they were. Okay.
Right.
I still have 7-8 wins in my head.
I'm adjusting my expectations down. All right, but we started off at 9 wins. We both predicted 9 wins. So now you're at 7 or 8. So now who's
oh my God! One loss, 2 losses difference. I mean,
that's the difference between competing for the division and not.
I don't know on this division, but
this division is everybody's 1-0 except for us. Everybody started off with the win.
All right. Well, let's move on, or do we want to take a quick break and be right back?
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
And we are back. And it's time for predictions time. I had the Panthers winning. That was obviously a loss. I think you had the Panthers winning as well.
I did.
Our beer bet of the week was 39.5 points. I took the over, you took the under, and again, I lost. My bold prediction was Miles Sanders, 160 total yards. That was a loss. What was your bold prediction?
I think I had 3 sacks for Brian Burns. So
1.5. At least he looked good. I mean, you can at least say that. You can put a feather in your cap for that one.
I think he did. He showed how important he is.
I did too.
At the very least.
100%. Heroes and zeros. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, hero. I mean, I think you could go with Brian Burns or Derek Brown. I'll go with Derek Brown. I think he was just a force at that position. He continues to show improvement. And, I think this year he could be one of the best defensive tackles in the game. So I'm going to go Derek Brown.
I 100% agree. Derek Brown, Brian Burns, and Frankie Louvu, who missed a tackle that caused a touchdown, had 3, QB hits and a sack. So let's not act like he had a horrible game.
Yeah. And he missed, by the way, that tackle he missed, I bet 90% of the guys in the league missed that tackle.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Bijan Robinson is just really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but that being said, I
hero?
just want to say I wanted to give him tip of the cap, but I'll give it to Brian Burns if you gave yours to Derek Brown.
Yeah. I left him for you.
Yeah.
Zeros. I have a feeling who you're going to go with, so go ahead.
I'm going to go Bryce Young.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was who you thought I was going to go with.
It was. Yep.
Okay. I mean, 2 interceptions cost the Panthers, same style. I think if it was a different, like a toss-up where it was a jump ball and someone else picked it off, I think it wouldn't have gone to Bryce Young. But with this same style, it was actually worse in my opinion because I think Jesse Bates had an easier time with it instead of the first one where he made it just a great play.
Yeah. I agree. I think there's really nobody else you can give it to. Even though my expectations for Bryce are lower than others for this game specifically, I think his mistakes directly led to the loss. So I will agree. Bryce Young will be my zero as well.
Okay. Now we are looking at the NFC South games. Real quickly, Tampa Bay beat Minnesota. That was kind of a surprise, 20-17. Yeah. And Tennessee lost to New Orleans 15-16. I mean, both close games, but unfortunately the NFC South takes the win.
Yeah, the Panthers start off in dead last. A game behind everyone else. So yeah, that Bucs game was weird too because Baker, 21 of 34, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. I guess he didn't look terrible, but I need to go back and watch that game. But yeah, Panthers start off in last place, and they're only up. Only way to go from here, Jerry, is up. So we'll see how we look next week.
Yeah, I mean we don't have a first round pick, so we need to string some wins together and look promising.
It would be nice, yeah. And New Orleans didn't look amazing today, and that's who we've got next week. So
yeah, I mean, again, this division has Bryce has to step it up. I do say that. I think the receivers can step it up. I think Miles Sanders can step it up. That being said, that's a lot of stepping up.
I'm glad you have optimism.
Well, we don't have that rule.
That.
We don't have that rule on this.
Yeah. I would prefer optimism to just saying that let's just, the season's over and blah, blah, blah. Again, I've adjusted my expectations, but I still, I'm going to be rooting hard every week and we'll probably pick them most weeks to win. Right. So
yeah,
we're going to move forward. But all right. Well, any other final thoughts here, Jerry?
No, it's kind of sad that this game was given away the way it was. Now, it wasn't a loss where you felt like Atlanta's a better team. It felt like a loss where the Panthers just gave it away.
Yeah.
Like a chick on prom night.
All right. Or a dude.
Or a dude.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it.
Yep, we want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at Meow Mix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube.
We'll be back in a few days to preview week 2. And until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.